Nestled near the Nevada-California border, in a town called Pahrump, lies a mecca for motoring enthusiasts. 6 miles of racetrack, screaming V8s, beautiful mountains. But if you're like most people who don't live within driving distance of Pahrump, your journey to automotive heaven likely began here at McCarran International Airport, awash in the glow of the many lights of Las Vegas. You see, the town of Pahrump is only 60 minutes west of Vegas. Or should I say that for the auto enthusiast, the city of Las Vegas is only 60 minutes east of Pahrump. Because if you desire speed and G-forces more than bright lights and production shows, then this is where you want to spend your time. Spring Mountain Country Club, home of the Ron Fellows Performance Driving School. While the town of Pahrump offers its own vices of casinos and even legal bordellos, to the auto enthusiast, the sin to be indulged in this city is that of speed. Triple digit, pulse quickening, catch me if you can, glorious speed. You won't find a caddy shack or a driving range or nary a blade of real grass at this country club. Instead, you'll find what is soon to become the longest racetrack in the world, surrounded by homes and condos of people who want to live with the sonorous melody of camshafts, rev matching, and bellowing exhausts. Chevy includes a discounted 2-day owner school for anyone who purchases a new Stingray, Grand Sport, or Z06. ZR1 owners get their own special free school. But for $1,000, new C7 owners can come learn about controlling America's sports car in a safe and controlled environment. Owner School introduces students to heel and toe downshifting, a wet skid pad, emergency braking and lane changing, and the basics of on-track driving, with several lead follow sessions. Level 1 school adds more advanced track instruction and more time out on track, including open lapping. But this video is about my Level 2 experience, the highest level currently available at the Ron Fellows Performance Driving School. Our first day begins bright and early at 8 a.m. in what will be our classroom for the next 2 days. After a brief introduction by the school's chief instructor, Rick Malone, he hands the reins off to senior instructor Richie Hearn and a team of 6 other professional instructors. Richie leads us through a refresher of what we learned in Level 1, and then before we know it, we're out on track running through heel and toe and threshold braking exercises. The Corvettes are equipped with selectable rev matching that will do the job for you, but since Ron Fellows is serious about teaching you the actual skills involved, true heel and toe practice is still part of the curriculum. Over at the threshold braking exercise, we worked on the skill of applying maximum brake pressure to engage ABS, and then backing off the pressure just enough to disengage the ABS and use all the available braking power. This exercise was made necessary because most amateur drivers simply do not apply enough braking power on track, as most street driving can be done with about 10% of the brakes. On track, however, you want to apply the brakes hard and then ease off as you approach and begin your turn-in. The exercise proved useful to our group, as one student completely failed to stop at all, receiving a gentle rebuke over the CB radio. At this point, I should mention Ron Fellows' preferred method of instruction is the lead-follow method. All cars are equipped with the CB radio plugged into the car's auxiliary port, which runs the sound through the Corvette's speakers. Instructors lead about 3 students around the track, and amazingly, they can simultaneously drive the track, watch you in their mirrors, and give instructions over the CB.
Pretty sure we're unwinding the wheel there, Brendan, as we come out of a couple of these corners.
Oh, and you can't catch them. It's the equivalent of giving a lecture on astrophysics while juggling flaming chainsaws on a unicycle. While the instructor is focusing mostly on the student immediately trailing, they can also be heard over the radio correcting the second student in line as well. It is truly amazing to see this feat in person, repeated over and over by every one of the instructors. During these lead-follow sessions, you are working on things like braking points, turn-in, being smooth and patient, balancing the car, and using the whole track. Following in the instructor's wake, you can see the perfect race line set out before you like a simulation game, but a hell of a lot more fun and real. The student cars are rotated every few laps so each of us could receive a direct view and instructions from the instructor. We spent the rest of that first afternoon honing our skills in preparation for Day 2's more advanced lapping. Day 2 began with an unexpected surprise, a short autocross course on cold tires, which forced us to concentrate on the car's balance and being smooth on the throttle and brakes. We were each allowed 2 passes on cold tires, and even though the cars were in Sport 1, which allows a bit of rotation before stability control kicks in, I was able to successfully rotate around the 180-degree turn in a most satisfying mini drift. I later learned that although the cold tire traction was minimal, my second run of 42.42 was quickest of the day by over half a second. Score 1 for the Sons of Speed. Each car was fitted with a timing transponder and sent back to the track for an initially terrifying reverse lead-follow session. You see, until now, we all had the benefit of following an instructor, or at least another student who was at least following another student who was following the instructor. This meant the race line and, most importantly, braking points were provided for us like a video game. Now, with the instructors following us, there was nothing to see in front of the C7's nose but racetrack. As the instructors predicted, our first look at open track resulted in missed braking zones, turn-in points, and apexes. One student right in front of me made it less than a lap in the lead when he mistook the turn-in cone at turn 3 for the braking cone and blazed an impromptu trail into the desert.
And you're going to drive off there. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Stay put, don't turn the car off, stay put, and Mike, stay behind me, Brendan, stay behind me.
After lunch, it was time for our graduation to open lapping, which is essentially a track day with one major difference. Passing was handled by CB radio request, rather than pointing a finger out the window.
109, can I get a pass?
Also different is that the car being passed pulls off the racing line, whereas with most track days, the overtaking car will move off the line. I must admit it was incredibly satisfying to grab the mic and say, "Car 112, I need a pass after turn 7," and then watch that car dutifully move to the right. Here was our time to apply all of the skills our instructors had collectively hammered into our skulls over the past day and a half. But before we headed back out, we each had a personal session with an instructor at a laptop station, poring over the data collected from our performance data recorders, or PDR for short. Using the free Cosworth Toolbox software and a PDR data card, we could see the exact line we took, when we hit the brakes and how hard, our speeds, and our G-forces. By comparing our best laps with an instructor's reference lap in real time right in the software, we were able to see exactly how and where we were losing valuable time around the track. I quickly found that in a few problem corners, I was braking too soon and losing too much speed, probably my subconscious reminding me I had not sprung for the additional crash coverage. My best time at this point was a 2 minutes 1 second .179, while the instructor had ripped off a blistering 1 minute 54.62. Using the lessons I had learned from the data, I was able to shave that down to a 159.382 my next time out. After an instructor jumped in the passenger seat for some additional fine-tuning, I dropped that time down to my best lap of 159.160. During these open lapping sessions, I was flogging the Stingray as hard as it would go and my skills would manage. 3 such sessions later, with a short 30-minute break in between, and I was simultaneously exhilarated and drained. After the final session, we gathered back in the classroom for graduation. All the instructors lined the front of the room for the ceremony. Each student received a certificate and printout of their lap times, and we shook each instructor's hand as we worked our way down the line. I did figure out later that one driver had bested me by less than a second, running a time somewhere in the 158s, also in a Stingray. I'll chalk that up to my tires being more worn and keep my ego intact. Seriously though, we were told early on that any time at or under 2 minutes by an instructor was considered fast, so I walked out of graduation knowing I had learned much and done well. It was interesting to note that the best times were not in the more powerful Z06s, as each student with one of those beasts reported issues putting the power down. The car's additional weight also didn't help its cause around the relatively tight course. Now, if this were all Spring Mountain had to offer, it would be more than enough for petrol heads like us. But while this country club has no golf course, it does boast a lake with a sandy beach, water sports, and even jetpack rides. The 8,000 square foot clubhouse offers a place for meals and libations, and there's a pool, workout facility, and even a firing range on property. If you're planning a trip to Spring Mountain, its proximity to Sin City almost requires a few nights stay there either before or after the school, where in addition to the shows and casinos, you can excise your inner soldier at a place like Machine Gun Vegas. Before heading to the track, I popped into MGV and sampled a variety of full auto machine guns from an Uzi to an AK-47, and I can highly recommend it for satisfying your adrenaline needs. You can also visit nearby Death Valley, Lake Mead, and Hoover Dam, and even the Grand Canyon isn't that far away. Spring Mountain Country Club will be rapidly expanding in the coming years to over 620 acres of adjacent desert. There will be an independent go-kart track, more classroom space, new paddock space, a commercial retail center with restaurants, a 125-room hotel and casino, and even a drag strip. In 2019, the club begins construction on a 3.02-mile track extension, which, with further extension plans, will eventually increase the total track length from 6 miles to a world record 16 miles of racetrack. Spring Mountain is home to many motorsports events, club racing, and track day rentals, but members there are guaranteed at least 16 days a month to hone their skills. Charter memberships cost $60,000 plus $6,000 in annual dues, and a membership is required to purchase a lot in Spring Mountain Estates. Lots there start at $275,000 for 1/3 of an acre, with average lots measuring 110 feet by 110 feet squared. No one ever said that Paradise was going to be cheap, but for a total entry cost of $335,000 plus the cost of building a home, you can own a piece of what will surely become a required stop on any track rat's bucket list. If you are a Corvette owner or you just want to get better at driving on track, the Ron Fellows School is a must, and the instruction quality and levels of progression ensure that you continue to improve in skill along the way. The only question is, will Ron Fellows offer a higher level school than the level 2? Rick Malone can't say for sure, but the school is always looking at student interest levels. We would suggest adding a level 3 school where students would leave waving their newly minted racing license. How cool would that be? And hey, it would certainly bring me back again. This has been Brendan for Sons of Speed, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and also leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. And we'll catch you next time at the track.